You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a problem, you know there's got to be an easier way, but something just stops you from asking for help. It's the silent burden we all seem to carry. Well, in this explainer, we're going to figure out exactly why we do this, and more importantly, how to stop. I mean, it should be simple, shouldn't it? You just ask. But so often, it feels like running into an invisible wall. So, what is really going on here? Why is something so simple, so universally hard for us to do? Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into a scene that's probably way too familiar. You're stuck on a project. The person right next to you could probably fix your issue in like 5 minutes, tops. But instead, you spend hours just going around in circles getting more and more frustrated. That feeling? That right there, that's the silent burden. And it's a choice so many of us make without even realizing it. You know, this isn't just about being stubborn or proud. It's a real, recognized psychological pattern. There's actually a name for it, the reluctant requester. It's that crazy internal battle where the logical part of your brain is screaming, just ask for help, it's the smart move. But some other, more powerful force is holding you back. It's that classic fight between your head and your gut. So what's really driving this thing? Well, it's almost never about the task itself. Nope, the real reasons are way deeper. It all comes down to these hidden, really powerful fears that are kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes. Let's unpack them. Our reluctance, it pretty much always boils down to one of these core fears. You've got the fear of looking incompetent, right? Then there's the big one, the fear of being a burden, of messing up someone else's day. We also really dread this sting of someone saying no, or that feeling of losing control over our own stuff. And, of course, that awkward feeling of owing someone. I'm willing to bet at least one of those, maybe even a couple, just hit home for you. And this is what's so wild. Look at the huge gap between what we think is happening and what's actually happening. We're all tangled up in our own heads, worried sick that we'll seem weak or be a bother, but the person we ask, they often feel the complete opposite. They feel trusted, they feel valued, they're actually happy to help out. It is a total disconnect. So why does this disconnect even exist? Well, it's fueled by this myth of the self-reliant hero, the lone genius who figures everything out on their own. We're basically taught from day one that going it alone is the ultimate sign of strength. But this quote just nails it. That's a damaging fantasy. Real strength, real progress, it comes from collaboration. And buying into that whole lone wolf myth, it has real, tangible costs. Staying silent isn't just a neutral choice. It takes a serious toll on our work, on our mental health, and even on our relationships. Let's get real for a minute and look at the actual price of that silence. Wow. I mean, the costs are pretty stark when you see them laid out like this. Almost half of the negative impact is just increased stress. That is a heavy, heavy price to pay. And then you've got the poor results, the relationships that get strained because we create distance, and all the missed chances to learn something new or connect with someone. It all just piles up. And here's the really nasty part. It becomes this vicious cycle, a total trap. You avoid asking for help, which cranks up your stress and leads to, not so great results. And what's the lesson your brain takes away from that? It tells you, see, I knew it. I really do have to do it all myself. And boom. You just reinforce the very belief that got you stuck in the first place. And if you need any more proof that this is a huge deal, just look at this number. In a full 70% of workplace burnout cases, a reluctance to ask for help is listed as a major cause. 70%. This isn't just some personal little quirk. It is a massive issue with some really serious consequences. Okay, so we've looked at the problem, we've seen the costs, and yeah, it's a bit heavy. But here's the good news, the really good news. This is a learned behavior, and anything that we learn, we can absolutely unlearn. So let's pivot and talk about how to completely rewire your approach to asking for help. It all starts right here, with this one simple but incredibly powerful mental shift. You have to stop seeing your request as you being a burden and start seeing it as an invitation to collaborate. You're not asking for a handout, you're inviting someone to be part of a team, to be part of the solution. So what does this look like in the real world? First, frame your ask around the shared goal, not your own problem. Next, be super specific and quick about it. Instead of a vague, I need help, try something like, hey, could you take a 5-minute look at this line of code for me? Acknowledge their expertise. Let them know why you're asking them specifically. And always, always express genuine gratitude. All right, here are a few more key things to remember. And this first don't is huge. Do not apologize for asking. It immediately frames your request as an imposition. Just be direct and confident. And here's a little pro tip. Always give them an easy out. Something like, no worries at all if you're swamped. It takes all the pressure off, and honestly, it often makes them even more likely to say yes.
Look, if you forget everything else we've talked about, please remember this one thing. Asking for help is not a confession of weakness. It is a strategic, confident act of strength. It shows you're smart enough to know you don't have all the answers, and you're self-assured enough to go out and find them.
So, as we wrap this up, I have a challenge for you. A question to really think about. What's one burden, big or small, that you're carrying all by yourself right now, that you could share with someone today? Taking that first step is always the hardest part, for sure. But as we've just seen, it might also be the most important one you can take.